What's going on, everyone, and thank you for joining me on part 6 of my Roadmap to Success in Buying Real Estate series. Now, part 6 brings us to the point in our process where we submit the application. Now, by this time, you probably may have already filled this out in the pre-approval or pre-processing stage. However, this is the point where the application will be submitted to the lender to start the process. So let's break this down. Now, as a borrower, you may have heard or hear the term 1003 thrown around by a mortgage professional. Now, the 1003 is also known as a Uniform Residential Loan Application. This is a standard form used by lenders to apply. So let's break down the application down by section, and keep in mind that if you're filling the application out yourself, either on a lender's website or if you're working with a loan officer who does it the old way and gives you an application to fill out, just make sure that you check your spelling, dot your I's, and cross your T's, because careless mistakes can cause a need for revisions, which will just prolong the process. So let's get to it. Section 1, personal information, employment, and income information. So the beginning of section 1 hones in on your current personal information, including your name, address, contact information, as well as information about your marital status, social security number, and the number of dependents you may have. Now, the lender needs this information to determine eligibility for the mortgage, and they also use the information to contact you. Now, the latter part of section 1 will review all of your employer's contact information, job title, and income. A timeline of all your employers you have had over the last 2 years is required. Now, your current employer's income will need to get broken down by base pay, overtime, commissions, bonuses, military entitlements, and or any other type of pay your employer may be paying you. Now, if you are self-employed, you will have to state what your net profit or loss is, as well as what percentage of ownership you have in your business. Then finally, any other sources of income must be disclosed. Now, when it comes to income, the information you fill out will most likely be adjusted by your loan officer, because there are special calculations that determine the income that we can actually use. So don't get too hung up on figuring out your income. The lender needs all this information to determine whether you have stable income and determine your ability to repay the loan. Section 2, financial information involving assets and liabilities. So in the first half of this section, you will provide information about any assets that you may have, such as bank, retirement, and investment accounts. It will also need stated any credits that will apply towards the transaction, such as the proceeds of a sale of a home currently in contract, earnest money deposits, or any other credits that will be applied at the closing. Then the latter part of this section will focus on all of your current liabilities. When your lender runs your credit report, all your open trade lines will automatically populate into the first section, showing all your debts and minimum monthly payments. If you have any outstanding debts that don't show up on the credit report, be sure to tell your loan officer, because that debt may come out to haunt you later in the process if something comes up. You will also have to disclose any additional liabilities you have, such as child support, alimony, and any other things that you must pay out on a monthly basis. Now, the lender needs this information to source the money being used for the purchase of the home and to determine your eligibility to get the loan. Section 3, real estate owned. Now, section 3 is where all the details of any real estate you own must be listed. They will cross-reference any mortgages that come up on your credit report with this section. So here we will be listing what your intentions with those properties will be and all expenses associated with those properties. We, the loan officers, will also use this information to determine any net rental income if there are any investment properties. Now, the lender uses this section to determine whether the property will be a liability, helps determine the value of the property, and to ensure it meets the lender's guidelines for the loan. Section 4, the loan and subject property information. So this section will require all the details about the loan you're trying to get. Here we will need to detail the address, loan amount, loan purposes, property value, occupancy type, and information on any other mortgages you're getting to purchase this property. The rental income details must also be disclosed here if it is for a multifamily or investment property. And finally, we will have to list any gift money you will be receiving for the transaction. The lender needs this information to determine whether the property qualifies for the particular program you're getting, as well as vetting whether the gift you are receiving falls within allowable guidelines. Section 5 and 6, declarations, acknowledgements, and agreements. So here you will be asked to declare truths to questions regarding the property, your funding, and past financial history. You're basically attesting that you are not going to commit fraud by lying on this application, and it asks other questions that may disqualify a borrower if answered yes to. You must agree to acknowledge the information presented to you in Section 6 and sign the bottom. Section 7, military service. So here you will have to check off any information whether you are active, retired, a current reservist, or are a surviving spouse of a veteran. This is used by lenders to know eligibility for any special programs for military personnel. Section 8, demographics section. So here they will ask you about your race, sex, and ethnicity. Now, the only reason why they're asking this is because all this information gets put into a database for the government to determine if any regions of the country are discriminating against anyone. Section 9, loan originator information. So here you will see the details of who your loan originator is. Loan originator is also your loan officer. So if you see someone else's name here besides the person helping you, ask away. You want to know that the person advising you is licensed and giving you the right advice. So that is the whole 1003 in a nutshell. Now remember that you may not see the application as described. Most banks nowadays have a user-friendly web portal where you will be giving them information needed to plug into the 1003. Also, the documentation you submit will also give the loan officer the information needed for them to plug in the information. Now, if you felt this information was helpful in any way, please give the video a like. If you're ready to get pre-approved, are already in contract and want a better interest rate, or are just looking to get a game plan going for a future purchase, do not hesitate to reach out to me. My contact information is in my profile.